before?
Have I seen you here before?
It looks great.
That's crazy.
Hi.
Thank you for your patience this month.
Thank you so much for sticking with us and coming back. We love you and we're so happy to be back. Without further ado, let's dive in to chapter 20.
Carlisle. We heard that this is everyone's favorite chapter, apparently.
So no pressure, but we're gonna do our best.
So, where did we leave off?
Bella had just looked at Carlisle's old ass cross and was like, what the f***? And Edward was like, I'm sure you got more questions. Let's just go ask the Dr. Daddy himself, Carlisle.
They go up to his study and knock knock on that heaven's door.
Who's there?
It's Carlisle! Yay!
Edward says, I paused at the door waiting for his invitation, like a good vampire.
Come in, Carlisle said.
They go inside and Bella animatedly examines the new room, like Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
She's like, I've never seen so many books in my entire life.
Wow, are these all yours?
Drone footage just doing a circle view, like,
Wow.
Bella's favorite place is the library, as we know.
Carlisle marks the page in the book he is reading and then stands to welcome them. He says, what can I do for you?
He's trying to look smart. He's just like, I was totally reading.
Definitely
you caught me. I've already read this book 1,000 times, but anyway.
So old.
Smart and a doctor, a very real doctor. Who doctors.
Yeah.
Welcome to my study where all I do is read and study.
And doctor. Of course, he'd heard all our conversation in the hall and he knew we were here for the next installment, so why did he even ask? Just to make Bella feel comfy.
Again, he's literally just like looking down at his book, listening to what they're talking about, like, oh, they're coming. Oh, she saw the cross. Okay, here we go. I wanted to show Bella some of our herstory. Well, your herstory, actually. We didn't mean to disturb you, Bella said, because she's really, really accommodating.
So considerate.
Not at all, Carlisle assured her.
I wasn't busy at all.
This is the day we all planned to meet you, so like,
Yeah, like,
you interrupt whatever.
please.
It's about you today. Where are you going to start? The Wagoner, I said.
Ooh.
The Wagoner. The Wagoner.
The Wagner? How do you pronounce?
Oh.
How to pronounce Wagoner?
Wagoner. I put one hand on her shoulder and turned her gently to face the wall behind us. I heard her heartbeat react to my touch, and then Carlisle's almost silent laugh at her reaction. Interesting. Carlisle's like, I'll add that to my journal of vampire thoughts. He's always researching.
The bite impact on the temperament.
Yeah. He's like, oh, heartbeat race. What could that possibly mean?
Human attraction? Bella's pupils dilated, her heart is racing, she's blushing, and also I can smell her she must be afraid.
I watched Bella's eyes widen as she took in the gallery of Carlisle's office. I could imagine the way it might disorient a person seeing it for the first time. Oh my god, there's so much art, it's disorienting.
I'm like, whoa.
Normal people don't see this much art.
There were 73 works in all sizes, mediums, and colors, crammed together like a wall-sized puzzle with only rectangular pieces. Her gaze couldn't find anywhere to settle. I mean, there's 73 pieces of art on this wall.
Yeah, like Rapunzel's tower Entangled, where she's like, must fill every space in the room because I don't get to leave this room.
Another day drawing on the wall in my house.
In my cage.
Everything sucks and I'm being held hostage. Ah!
But at least I'm beautiful.
Look at my hair.
Okay, London in the 1650s.
The London of my youth. But like, are you sure? Because I thought that you were too common to tell time.
Yeah, double check that.
Yeah, fact check, please.
Oh, the London of my youth. The London in my youth or childhood. I must have done something good. You know, from Sound of Music?
I'm so disappointed in myself.
The London of my youth. Carlisle asks. Bella flinched, surprised at his closeness.
A chimney sweep! A commoner!
Do you even know what date it is? Get away from me.
Ew. Edward says, will you tell the story? I asked him, and Bella turned to see what he would say. He smiles at Bella and says, I would, but I'm actually running a bit late. The hospital called this morning. Dr. Snow is taking a sick day. Besides, you know the stories as well as I do. I thought Alice told everyone to block the whole day off. Like, you're telling me Alice didn't have a vision that Dr. Snow was gonna get the stomach flu? Like, Carlisle, you're just gonna dip? Like, this is your chapter!
Yeah, also, it's kind of late in the day, and Dr. Snow's been out since this morning taking a whole sick day, so who's at the hospital taking care of anybody? Carlisle exits chapter 20. Carlisle.
Yeah, we are approximately a page and a half in.
And Carlisle's like, I'm out.
Bye. This is only the most important day of their last half century. But whatever. This is your maybe daughter-in-law? Like, maybe, like, take the day.
Yeah, true.
What an oversight.
Anyway. Carlisle smiled warmly at Bella and whoosh, disappears.
Bye.
Bella continues their little conversation from the hallway. What happened then? When he realized what had happened to him? Automatically, I looked to the larger painting. One column over and one row down. Knight to E3. It wasn't a cheerful image, a gloomy, deserted landscape. A sky thick with oppressive clouds, colors that seemed to suggest the sun would never return. Ah, London.
London, so cheerful.
Dreary London, oh, the
London of my youth. It so perfectly reminded him of his life at its darkest point that he'd wanted to keep it. Though the old memory was painful, to him the existence of this devastated landscape meant that someone else had once understood. He's so sad, and he was so sad, that he was like, I can never forget this.
Yeah, it's like your favorite emo song from when you were in high school, and every time you hear it, you're like, oh, I was really sad. Somebody got me. When he knew what he had become, he rebelled against it. He tried to destroy himself, but that's not easily done. How? She gasped. I kept my eyes on the evocative emptiness of the painting as I described Carlisle's suicide attempts. Yikes! He jumped from great heights. He tried to drown himself in the ocean, but he was young to the new life and very strong. It was amazing that he was able to resist feeding. But he was so repelled by himself that he had the strength to try to kill himself with starvation. Is that possible? She whispered. No. There are very few ways we can be killed. She opened her mouth to ask the most obvious follow-up question, but I spoke quickly to distract her. So he grew very hungry and eventually weak. He stayed as far as he could from the human populace, recognizing that his willpower was weakening too. For months, he wandered by night, seeking the loneliest places, loathing himself. But also, Carlisle's just sitting down at the bottom of the ocean for like a month, and he's like, geez, I've been here a while. I guess I don't have to breathe. Like re-swallowing and re-vomiting up water doesn't just be like, just die. I hate myself. I'm so ugly.
I mean, I'm hot, but on the inside, I'm ugly.
And Fisher's swimming by and he's like, I described the night he found another way to live, the compromise of animal blood, and his recovery to a rational creature. Then, leaving for the continent. He swam to France! She interrupted, disbelieving.
Like, what? Huh? He swam all the way to France? And he's like, well, yeah, he was in England, and it's just a couple freestyle laps away.
Yeah, she's pulling an American where she thinks that everything is in America, and like everyone is in America, and so she's like, wait.
People swim the channel all the time, Bella. Idiot.
Carlisle is like in the forest, like starving and gross and a creature, and then just like eats one animal, and suddenly he's wearing like a suit and has a monocle, and he's like, oh yes.
Ah yes.
I am now
what an interesting
I'm a rational creature once again. All I needed was a little venison, the Oxford of my youth.
She's like, okay, that's true, I guess. It just sounded funny in that context. Go on. She goes, I won't interrupt again, I promise.
I'm sorry, that was bad of me. If you want to hit me, like, you can.
Swimming is easy for us because technically we don't need to breathe. And she's like, you what? And he's like, you literally just said you wouldn't interrupt again. I laughed and put one finger against her lips. No, you promised. Do you want to hear the story or not?
He says not breathing is uncomfortable, especially because they need their sense of smell. They rely on it for everything. So it's like, why would he give that up?
It just gets a bit uncomfy. Like, it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's like, fine. It gets a bit uncomfortable being without a sense of smell. Bella just goes, a bit uncomfortable, in a fragile voice, barely over a whisper. And Edward's like, oh God, I finally scared her off. Stares at her troubled expression, waiting to see if this would be one truth too many.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for it to happen. She was confused. For what to happen? I took a deep breath. I know that at some point, something I tell you or something you see is going to be too much. And then you'll run away from me, screaming as you go. I won't stop you. I want this to happen because I want you to be safe, and yet I want to be with you. The two desires are impossible to reconcile.
Meanwhile, he's already told her that he has killed people in the past, and she loved it, but he's like, oh no, not being able to breathe, the final straw.
That's where I draw
Monstrous!
Monstrous!
The next painting is an orgy being judged by the Volturi.
Half the thrashing figures seem to be involved in some kind of orgy. The other half in a violent, bloody combat. Only the judges, suspended above the pandemonium on marble balustrades, were serene.
This one had been a gift. The Volturi gave it to Carlisle when he dipped and left them, but Esme made him keep it because she's like, look, it's you, you're in it!
Oh, it looks just like you with the blonde hair, the
Oh,
blonde.
they really captured your likeness, darling.
Oh.
This one had been a gift. It wasn't something Carlisle would have ever picked out for himself, but when the Volturi had pressed it upon him as a souvenir of their time together, it wasn't as if he could have said no.
Well, he's like, here's
This
a
is
souvenir
very-
of our time together. It's an orgy with us watching. Good times,
For the good times, good times. Carlisle's like, it wasn't as if I could have said no to the orgy or the gift. Carlisle, were you coerced?
He was studying in Italy when he discovered the others there. They were much more civilized and educated than the wraiths of the London sewers.
So we have the civilized Volturi doing the Italian lifestyle.
Artwork of orgies.
Artwork and orgies, nighttime patrons of the arts. When you compare it to the race of the London sewer.
Hey mate, what's up? Gonna go suck some blood, eh, bro?
Yeah, it's a bit cheeky, innit, bruv?
Yeah, geezer.
Yeah, it's about to get a right bit diddly up in here, innit?
We're immortal.
We're immortal. What a vampire.
We never die. Ever.
These civilized Italians are the Volturi. Book readers, we know these are the Italian vampire royalty / police. Solimena, I'm not saying
Solimena?
Right. Solimena? He must be a real painter. Maybe, we'll find out. Solimena was greatly inspired by Carlisle's friends. He often painted them as gods. Arrow, Marcus, Caius. I gestured to each as I said their names. Nighttime patrons of the arts. Okay, you cannot convince me that the Volturi were not all, like, devastatingly gorgeous, like, LA beautiful, young, gay men. Nighttime patrons of the arts, they live in an art gallery that's also a nightclub orgy.
Orgies?
Like, it's just beautiful. It's a party.
Oh, it tastes so good.
Delicious. Jonathan Van Ness is my dream arrow. I think it'd be so good. So the reason Carlisle ultimately left the Volturi is because they were like, oh my god, just suck human blood. Like, just eat people. Like, why are you on this weird diet all the time?
It was peer pressure. He couldn't handle it.
Yeah. and
Real
it's
friends
just like-
wouldn't make you suck blood.
Real friends wouldn't
of
make you
humans
suck blood.
if you didn't want to.
Right, no. But they just couldn't stop pressuring him, and so he was like, bye. They tried to persuade him, and he tried to persuade them, to no avail. At that point, Carlisle decided to try the new world. He dreamed of finding others like himself. Can't wait to, like, start my next chapter as a colonizer.
Yeah, he goes full John Smith. All of my life I have searched for a land like this one. Bella says, have you always stayed with Carlisle then? The Rumspringer.
Oh. No, no.
With unerring, unering,
With onion ring.
with onion ring instinct, she found the one question I least wanted to answer.
Almost always.
I placed my hand on her waist to guide her out of Carlisle's office, wishing I could also guide her away from this train of thought.
Come here, come this way, come this way. Ooh, look over there.
Look over there!
We're doing a big pivot, both mentally and physically. But I knew she was not going to let that stand. Sure enough, almost. I sighed, unwilling. But honesty must take precedence over shame. Thank you.
Good job.
Finally, a commitment to total honesty.
A commitment to total honesty.
Well, I confessed, I had a typical bout of rebellious adolescence.
Okay.
About 10 years after I was born, created, whatever you want to call it. I wasn't sold on his life of abstinence, and I resented him for curbing my appetite. So I went off on my own for a time. Really? Her intonation was not what I expected. Rather than being disgusted, she sounded eager to hear more. Really?
He says, that doesn't repulse you? And she says, no. Why not? I demanded.
Why don't I repulse you?
She goes, I guess it sounds sexy? I mean, reasonable? Because she's turned on by his vampire-ness.
Oh yeah, no.
We all are.
The reason she likes him is because he's a vampire. Yeah, no, tell me all about when you, like, ate people. Like, I'm just curious.
I'm just curious. Like, I promise I won't be scared.
No,
like,
never.
So just, like, I'm not, just, like, tell me.
Like, how was it? Like, what was it like? Why did you stop or whatever? Reasonable, I laughed. The sound too harsh. From the time of my new birth, I had the advantage of knowing what everyone around me was thinking, both human and non-human alike. That's why it took me 10 years to defy Carlisle. I could read his perfect sincerity, understand exactly why he lived the way he lived. I wondered if I would ever have gone astray if I had not met Siobhan and others like her. If I had only known Carlisle and never discovered another code of conduct, I think I would have stayed.
He basically admits, like, oh, if I hadn't met Siobhan, I probably wouldn't have gone off and done it. So, my theory, So yeah, thank you, Brazilian Twitter. Obrigado.
I was gonna say arrivederci, but no. It took me only a few years to return to Carlisle and recommit to his vision. I thought I would be exempt from the depression that accompanies a conscience. Nobody's exempt from that, honey. Especially not Edward. Are you kidding? His conscience is always like, I hate myself.
His conscience is like, why aren't you better?
Be better.
Because I knew the thoughts of my prey, I could pass over the innocent and pursue only the evil. If I followed a murderer down a dark alley where he stalked a young girl, if I saved her, then surely I wasn't so terrible.
Surely.
Never.
No.
If I only kill murderers, then that doesn't make me a murderer. It's net gain.
It's a net positive.
Here.
Honestly, I agree.
We're in the black.
I agree.
Okay?
And then he tells a tale of one of his bad guy victims.
But just to us, not to Bella.
Just to us, not to Bella.
Not to Bella.
Not to Bella.
Bella never,
Too scary.
Bella never knew this.
Too scary for her.
September 1930. It had been a very bad year. Everywhere, the humans struggled to survive bank failures, droughts, and dust storms. At the time, I wondered whether the pervasive despair and dread in the minds around me were a contributing factor to the melancholy that was beginning to plague me. But I think, even then, I knew that my personal depression was wholly due to my own choices.
Everyone knows that if you're depressed, it's your fault. And if you tried harder to not be sad, maybe you would not have a chemical imbalance that makes getting out of bed and showering really hard.
Yeah, it's definitely not the fact that you lost your job and all of your money and are struggling to feed your family that's making you depressed. It's just you.
It's you. It's your
It's you
fault.
and your up mind.
Your choices.
I blame you. So Edward's in Milwaukee, and what the is he doing in Milwaukee?
Why Milwaukee?
He's avoiding the hotbed of racist newborn vampires in the South, and he's avoiding Carlisle, who's hanging out in the East.
So basically, he finds a pedophile in Wisconsin who feels really bad.
Pedophile in Wisconsin.
A pedophile in Wisconsin. This pedophile is already feeling bad about his plans to kidnap and do unspeakable things to a little girl named Betty. He's like, Betty, I won't make assumptions about why I want to f*** you, but I think it's 'cause you're a kid. No! I can't do this! I can! The chanting in his head was over. He could, he realized. He could do this. Edward is hovering, waiting for him to make that decision, and the second he's like, I can do this, Edward just grabs him by the scruff of the neck, yoink, like a kitten. Got him. Yeah. I grabbed him by the neck and leaped to the roof. Leapt to the roof, 3 stories up, where we landed with a low thud. He didn't see a man when he looked at me. He saw my empty black eyes, my death pale skin, and he saw judgment. Edward staring at him like, I know those aren't white shoes after Labor Day. The pedophile is like, I didn't. He thought, I didn't. Good job, me. Yay. Thank you, evil judgy man. He had been my only technically innocent victim. Technically innocent. Innocent. And in the end, blood was just blood. It quenched my thirst for a few days or weeks, and that was all. Though there was physical pleasure, it was too marred by the pain in my mind. Stubborn as I was, I could not avoid the truth. I was happier without human blood. This is also Stephenie Meyer's Mormon showing a little bit. Like, blood was just blood, I feel like is also a metaphor for premarital sex. Blood is just blood, sex is just sex. Like, it feels great, there's a lot of physical pleasure, but like, the pain on my conscience, like the emotional weight is just like too much to carry, you know, knowing that I am no longer pure in the eyes of the Lord.
Yeah.
So
sex isn't better than how dirty I feel. So.
yeah, so abstinence.
Yeah, no sex for me.
Nope.
And only animals.
I only animals.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to feel dirty. He's a dirty,
no,
dirty
no.
girl. Dirty. Dirty.
I regret everything I've ever done. The total sum of death became too much for me. Math is always too much for me too.
A total sum? No thanks.
New. We reached the last door along the hallway. My room, I informed her as I held it open.
Entree, s'il vous plaît. This is my room.
where I room. I expected her reaction. The close scrutiny returned. She analyzed the view of the river.
Sick.
Nice.
Hi, Riverview.
Cute. The abundance of shelving for my music, because it's 2005 and we
CDs.
still have CDs.
CDs everywhere.
The stereo, the lack of traditional furniture, only modern furniture.
Only modern furniture. He doesn't have a bed, but he does have a couch. Because he doesn't sleep, but he does
sit.
He's so happy to have her in his room and have her, like, be there and know everything about him and still just be there. She glanced up at me, trying to understand why I was staring at her so intently. He's like, you're in my room.
Oh, hi. What?
And I like that.
What? She asked, her hand straying self-consciously to her hair. What? Oh my god, is that a haystack again? Or like, I can fix it, I swear.
What?
I was prepared to feel relieved having you know about everything, not needed to keep secrets from you. But I didn't expect to feel more than that.
I like it. It makes me happy.
We smiled together. A flicker of unease twisted my expression. Nothing had scared her away from me, but that didn't mean that she shouldn't be frightened. Bella watched my face change. You're still waiting for the running and screaming, aren't you?
Close enough. I nodded. She says, well, I hate to burst your bubble, she said, her voice blasé, but you're really not as scary as you think you are. I don't find you scary at all, actually.
I smiled, showing too much of my teeth. You really shouldn't have said that. She'd asked to see me hunt, after all. I coiled into a parody of my actual hunting stance, a loose, playful version, exposing even more of my teeth. I growled softly. It was almost a purr. She started to back away, though there was no real fear on her face.
She's like, oh, I know this game.
Oh, cat and mouse? Okay,
Oh, okay.
I'll be the mouse.
Catch me.
She swallowed loudly.
Oh.
You wouldn't. I sprang. Ah! She wasn't able to see much of the action. I moved at immortal speed. Phew! Yeah, take it to immortal speed. Launching myself across the room, I scooped her up into my arms as I flew by. I shaped myself into a sort of defensive armor around her so that when we collided with the sofa, she felt none of the impact.
Oh, sweet. Vampire airbag.
She seemed a little disoriented, as though she wasn't sure which way was up. Oh god. Oh my god. Zero gravity. Whoa. She tried to glare at me, but her eyes were too wide to make the expression effective. You were saying, I asked, my voice a playful snarl. Oh.
She tried to catch her breath.
That you are a very, very terrifying monster. I grinned at her. Much better. Alice and Jasper were bounding up the stairs.
Here we go.
Alice and Jasper.
On the way to ruin the moment.
Is that sexy fun we're hearing up there? No, none of that.
Can't wait to ruin it.
Can we come in? Alice asked from the hallway, aloud for Bella's sake. Alice was already walking into the room, and I answered, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure, Alice,
I
help
guess.
yourself.
All right, let yourself in.
While Jasper hesitated in the doorway, she settled herself in the middle of my rug, a wide grin on her face.
Just crisscross applesauce.
It sounded like you were having Bella for lunch, and we came to see if you would share, she asked. Sorry, I don't believe I have enough to spare.
I want her all for myself until I have to break up with her and then share her with another guy for the remainder of the series.
Yeah. Jasper followed her into the room, unable to help himself. The emotions inside were nearly intoxicating to him. There was no counterbalance to the atmosphere of bliss that Jasper was getting high on now.
Jasper's favorite drug is bliss. Give me another hit of that bliss.
He's like, heart eye emoji, give me some of that. Actually, he said, changing the subject, Alice says there's going to be a real storm tonight and Emmett wants to play ball. Are you game? Of course you should bring Bella, she encouraged. Oh. Jasper was caught off guard. Internally, he readjusted his idea of what was to come. He would not be able to relax as he planned, but experiencing the emotions Bella and I made each other feel, that was a trait he could accept.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm not super psyched about going to baseball if there's gonna be a human there, like I can't fully relax and not want to kill her. But at the same time, let me get another hit of that bliss.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, I can get some of my fix.
Do you want to go? I asked Bella. Sure, she answered quickly. Then after a tiny pause,
Where are we going?
We have to wait for Thunder to play ball, I explained. You'll see why.
Her concern was more obvious now. Will I need an umbrella? I laughed that this was her worry, and Alice and Jasper joined in. Oh, you foolish human.
Oh, you idiot.
Umbrella.
An umbrella
Oh my
in a
God.
thunderstorm?
As if you would need an
Are you
umbrella in
kidding
the
me?
rain. Like, oh my God, stupid. And then they're like, will she?
No. The storm will hit over town. It should be dry enough in the clearing.
Good then, Jasper said.
All right.
All right. Sounds dandy.
Yeehaw. Let's go see if Carlisle will come, she said, bouncing up from the floor, even though Carlisle already left the house like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, he's at the hospital.
Yo, he's
Remember?
gone.
He got to pick up a shift. How come you didn't foresee this from the beginning of the day?
Allison!
Jasper's like you don't already know.
Jasper, Alice.
Babe, I love you. Thanks for finding me at the diner all those years ago.
Saving my life.
Making me a better man.
Showing me the light.
Love you, babe.
Love you.
What will we be playing? Bella asked. You will be watching. We will be playing baseball. She's like, oh, okay, so I spend the day meeting your family and then I have to sit here and watch you guys all play baseball from the sidelines?
Yeah.
Like, this keeps getting worse.
Ideal second date, I meet your family and then I watch you all do an activity without me. But also, baseball, it's like the iconic baseball scene. It's coming up now.
The American pastime. Vampire baseball.
First, they're gonna go back to Bella's house so she can change, and Edward's gonna get to meet Charlie, finally.
He's waited all this time.
I know, it's gonna be a big deal.
We've got a baseball game. We've got an introduction. This is turning out to be a very big day.
Yeah, very good second date day.
Thank you guys so much for your patience and for sticking with us. We're just happy to be back.
Happy to be
honestly.
back. I know, it feels great.
Watch, subscribe, check out our other videos. We'll have new ones coming at you sooner than this one came at you.
For sure.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.